Hello all, my name is Max. I'll be your Space Master today yet again. Alright, so we just finished up looking at technology. One thing that I did not mention was researching technologies. For example, let's just throw down, let's just toss this one in. All of these technologies are technologies that you've researched beforehand. Gauss Cannon Rate of Fire 1, Gauss Cannon Rate of Fire 2 was actually researched by you, by your race. Yeah, not you. At the very beginning of the game, you clicked a little. Well, you didn't click it, but we left it marked that the game would select which technologies that we're going to start off with. Well, one of the things that you can do here is increase your Gauss Cannon rate of fire to 3, which would help out your this particular technology in the sense that instead of shooting 2 shots every 5 seconds, it's now 4. Other things that you can do here are, let's go with the lasers. Where are you, lasers? Alright, as you can see here, we have the laser focal size. And the focal size can be researched by you in energy weapons, as can the laser wavelength and the capacitor recharge rate, and then also the size of the laser. What this does, what all these do, help with the technology behind it. For example, the laser focal size is essentially the damage that it does. So look at your damage output at 10 centimeters. Now look at your damage output at 12, and you can see it went up to 3 to 4. Your laser wavelength, for example, your maximum range, it goes from at the base 40 kilometers up to 80. All right, and then your capacitor recharge rate is how often can it fire, the rate of fire here, and just with the capacitor at 1, you're getting it every 20 seconds, and then at capacitor recharge rate it's 2. And then you can see what the reduced size lasers do. And once you want a particular research project, you hit create, and then you come over here, and then you'd have to research your 12 centimeter C2 visible light laser, and you'd have to tell someone over here to let's just give it the image in here, to create that, and they will begin, and it's going to be done the 10th of June. Once that's done, you can slap it on your ships. We already went over that a little bit. Another thing are turrets. When you have certain types of turrets here, these turrets basically are things that you mount on ships that fire automatically. You can make it a single or a double, triple, or a quad here, making it bigger and more expensive, and you can watch the differences down here on the parameters as you move that. Tracking speed, how fast do you want I have your target, how fast is it moving, and we want to target that speed here. Let's say, for example, we have a ship going at 5,000. It's going to change the gear size a little bit versus 2,500, and the size gets smaller. But that's based on the other ship and how fast they're moving, and the turret's ability to try to keep up with it. The armor thickness, how hard is it to be hit, or not how hard it is, but how powerful it is. Basically, that turret is going to need a little bit of armor, so it would require a few more hits to kill. And you can see here, turret hit to kill. It takes 16 hits It's got HP of 16 based on how much armor you're putting on there. All right, 0 is probably good, but if you put on more, it just eats up a lot of the size of the turret itself, and then the armor costs some in neutronium, which is your armor there. All right. I think that's it for turrets. Let's look at missiles. Missiles, you're actually going to need an engine for your missiles. So I'm going to actually research this very quickly by turning on Space Master. All right. I'm going to design a technology. Missile engines. And I'm just going to go with, instead of it being 50 tons, which is 1 MSP, I'm going to make it 1/2 that. And then I'm going to increase the power of this missile to 2x and then increase it back up to 1. Alright? So I'm closing out of there. Now I'm going to disable Space Master, and then we'll go to the missiles here. Now that we have 2 missile drives, we can create 2 different types of missiles. One thing that we can start off with is the warhead strength. The warhead, you want the value here to be a perfect square. Perfect squares are 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, so on and so forth. You want it to be a perfect square based on how the game calculates damages. When you have a ship with some armor on it, once it hits the perfect square, it can penetrate 1 extra layer of armor. So with just 1 here, for example, it's only going to hit the armor 1 time, and only be in the armor's X number thick. All right, excuse me. To give you some idea of how this works, we can turn to our 2 different ships that we have built here. Our Agincourts, which are survey ships, and then our PDCs, planetary defense centers. All right, this is how I got to here. Is the ship's button right up here, and then armor status. Our this particular ship has a tonnage of 6,000. I'm looking for that number. I don't see it up there, but you can tell it's 6,000 tons versus our PDC, which is 2,400. When it's 6,000, it's more wide. Our armor status is very wide compared to a 2,400 sort of ship here. Your Agincourt, if it's out there, it's going to be hit, and just think of it being hit this way, directly from top to bottom. And if it got hit, say right here, its armor is down right there, and it could have a hull breach right here, and that would not be very good for the ship, obviously, when there's a hull breach. Versus our PDC. Now, the PDC can be hit by a warhead strength of 1, like we have over here, and it only chips away 1 the armor. Alright? And let's say we just keep, it gets hit by another missile. Well, any one of these can be hit at the top. And if that one's already chipped right there, then any one of these 3, 6, 9, 12, call it 15, any one of these 15 could be hit. Alright, so if it's this one here, it's going to show up as a red hit, and it could be that square there, because that red is already destroyed. Once all of these are red, then you have a hull breach. But it's not likely that missiles are going to go past the first layer of armor on 1 hit. It's going to be, it'll chew through the armor, as opposed to just hitting through 1 direct 1, because it's all random. It's a 1 in 15 chance of getting that particular one from a top-down scheme. Now, if you have a warhead strength of 4, it will be your 4 here When it's a perfect square, every perfect square has one extra penetration. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4. Those four, if the 1 in 15 chance selects this particular column, 1, 2, 3, 4 will be hit, and it has this extra penetration there. All right. That extra penetration helps you get down to the hull of the ship faster. All right. Let's say you wanted 1.8. Let's call it 2 here. When the warhead strength is at 8, what that means is it does, and we'll select this one right here in the middle. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. So it's going to be 5 on the top, 3 on the bottom, but it's not able to penetrate that third one until it gets hit again. And when you get to 9, then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense. You'd have to really see it to understand how it works, but every square gets further in the armor penetration there. Every perfect square on the warhead strength. All right. For this one, we have the fuel capacity. Fuel capacity is how far it can go. Agility helps with the accuracy, and accuracy is down here. Chance to hit. If the ship is moving at 5,000 kilometers per second, it's got a 13.8 chance of hitting it. But if we add some agility in there, well, now it just goes up. And if we add more engines on here, faster engines, call it 4 of these engines, you can see that the chances are rising there. All right, but a lot of ships at the early game are going to be focused on this particular number here, and trying to find the exact the exact desired missile. It takes a little bit of experimenting between agility and your missile engines, because after a while, as you add more agility to it, you're increasing the size of the missile itself. So keep that in mind as you're moving on. You have sensors. You probably could do without worrying with these. These are just sensors to help it be a guided missile, but it doesn't necessarily need guidance in the game. Defenses, you can probably do without it. ECM is for electronic warfare. You can jam other people's missiles, for example. A second stage, you can have, say, a very, very, very fast engine that then breaks apart and launches a swarm of extra missiles. They might be a little bit slower, but they hit. They just have a harder hit, for example. Think of it as a booster pack and then the actual payload for the second stage. It gets a little complicated there. But anyway, once you have a ship, a missile that you like, you hit create, and then you close out, and then you have to go and research that particular missile in missiles. And here it is right there, 489. You got to research it, and then you have to come over here to missiles, and you'd actually build the missiles in the ordnance factories there. It doesn't show up now because it hasn't been researched, and then we can build ships later, but that's for another time. But that's how you would research missiles, and I think that's how all of technology and research works. Remember, the research here is for the broad strokes that go into your systems here, and you can look at each one, click on it, and figure out which one. You always want to match the specialization with the that research project type, so that they can get the full bonus of ×4. If you need more scientists, you can always build what's known as a military academy, and those produce more scientists. They produce scientists quicker, that is. And then I think that's it for now. It can, of course, cross research things, but that's up to you. The missiles, turrets, and other designed projects have to be researched first within this research screen here. Alright, I think that's all I got. Have fun with your research projects like I am putting off right now. That's real world.